They came quietly, wearing uniforms of loyalty, carrying passports stamped with the destinations of their mission: Europe, the United States. They were soldiers on training exercises. Or so it was said. But when they returned, they were no longer soldiers of the soil. They had become something else. Eyes that no longer saw home. Minds that no longer thought for themselves. Tongues that now whispered in a foreign dialect, the language of betrayal. Conferences followed. Invitations to elegant halls in Dakar, Abidjan, Nairobi. Panels on stability. Dinners with diplomats. Doors closed. Promises made. And soon, the weapons began to arrive. Not by air, but over land. Not through customs, but hidden in humanitarian trucks, beneath sacks of grain and crates marked medicine. Guns with no serial numbers. Bullets etched in foreign military codes. Dark cargo riding through daylight under banners of peace. And then came the money. Not hand to hand. Not briefcases in alleys. But numbers. Clean, cold, clinical. Wired across oceans. Routed through shell companies. Sent to foreign accounts. The price? Silence. Loyalty to the mission. A promise that if they failed, their families would be safe. A few were told they'd rule in the aftermath. One was promised the post of Minister of Defense. This was not just treason. This was orchestration. This was foreign policy with blood on its hands. And behind the curtain stood familiar names, capitals spoken with a mix of reverence and fear: Paris, Washington, Brussels. But they forgot one thing. They misjudged the patience of the man they thought was sleeping. President Ibrahim Traoré. He saw it all. He said nothing. He waited. While the agents moved, while the whispers grew louder, while the money flowed like poison through the veins of the country, he stood still. But he wasn't still out of fear. He was gathering, watching, letting them believe they were winning, letting the plan unfold, inch by inch. Because what they didn't see was the network beneath the surface, his loyal forces. Men and women who had sworn an oath not just to a flag, but to a future. They watched every movement, logged every transfer, mapped every lie. The moment came, not with a shout, but with a strike. And when the trap was sprung, it wasn't just a security operation. It was a reckoning. The arrests began. Soldiers who wore betrayal on their faces were dragged into the light. Phones seized. Laptops cracked open. Files exposed. And in the data, the truth gleamed, ugly, undeniable. It wasn't just a coup. It was a blueprint of recolonization. Written not in our languages, but in boardrooms, embassies, and the gleaming towers of foreign wealth. The world watched in shock. France stumbled to respond. The United States offered only vague language. Western media scrambled, calling Traoré paranoid, erratic, dangerous. But inside Burkina Faso, something else was happening. Not fear. Not division. But awakening. Traitors had been unmasked. The foreign hand had been caught mid-swing. The coup had failed, not because of firepower, but because of foresight. Because of a young man who would not bow. And then, silence. For 2 days, Traoré said nothing. No parades. No celebrations. No boasts. But the streets were heavy with energy. Some feared retaliation from the West. Others waited for the next move. And the media, of course, did what it does best. Twisting the truth, flipping the story. Dictator, they said. Autocrat. Threat to democracy. But on the ground, something deeper stirred. Something that could not be televised. Something that could not be spun. In the markets, youth began painting murals. Traoré's face beside Thomas Sankara. Women gathered and sang songs of strength. Elders, who once thought they would die under a silent sun, now spoke of hope. Hope they hadn't felt since independence. Hope that perhaps this time, it would be different. And on the third day, the silence broke. Not from a palace. Not behind bulletproof glass, but in the middle of a crowd. No podium. No military fanfare. Just dust underfoot. And a man, young, steady, unafraid. Traoré stood among them, and he spoke. "To my people of Burkina Faso," he began, "you have seen what they tried to do. You have seen how your brothers, your own, were turned into tools. Tools wielded by those who have always believed they could own us. But we are not theirs. Not anymore." The crowd leaned in, the air thick with emotion. They sent money. They sent weapons. They sent promises, visas, power, safety. But what they do not understand is this. Burkina Faso is not for sale. Our land is not for sale. Our blood is not for sale. And our future will never again belong to outsiders. The roar shook the city. But Traoré raised his hand, and the silence returned. His voice deepened, stretching beyond Burkina Faso's borders. "To my brothers and sisters across Africa," he said, "in Mali, in Niger, in Congo, in Sudan, in Senegal, they will come for you too. If you stand, they will try to make you kneel. If you speak, they will try to silence you. They will send you preachers. They will send you peacekeepers. They will send you investors. But they are not coming to help. They are coming to control." He paused, then continued. "But now we see. The fog is lifting. The mask is falling. And the time of kneeling is over. This is the generation of freedom. To every young African, build your nation. Defend your people. And when they come, with their bribes, their bombs, their lies, stand like the baobab tree, rooted in your land." From that day, policy followed vision. Foreign military presence, zero tolerance. NGOs funding chaos, expelled. Control over national resources, reclaimed. No more silent theft of gold, lithium, or oil. Foreign investments, only with nations that respect Burkina Faso's independence. And for every citizen, a new booklet. A short, powerful guide, telling the story of colonialism, of resistance, of how to protect not just borders, but minds. Mental liberation. Political sovereignty. The Western world panicked. France issued a denial. The US stayed silent. The EU warned of instability. But across Africa, something was rising. In Mali, people marched. In Niger, citizens demanded the same purge. In Guinea, youths reposted Traoré's speech on every platform, quoting his words like scripture. He had become something bigger than himself. Not just a president, a symbol, a fire, a mirror for a continent long made to bow. And that night, as the sun set on a nation that had refused to be broken, Traoré spoke one last time. "They tried to kill me," he said, "but I survived, not because I am special, but because I walk with the people. And as long as I do, no foreign bullet, no paid traitor, no Western empire can bring me down. Long live Burkina Faso. Long live a free Africa." The crowd didn't just cheer. They roared. The kind of sound that carries over mountains and rivers. The kind of sound that wakes sleeping lions. And so, what was meant to be a quiet coup, a hidden betrayal, became something else. A rebirth. A warning. A call to rise. From the dry winds of Ouagadougou to the buzzing streets of Accra, Addis Ababa, Kinshasa, Africa was waking up. And this time, it would not go back to sleep.